So I'm assuming you're one of those people that have always wanted to write a book or a script, even a film script, and you've never gotten around to it because the actual task of doing it is quite daunting. This is your one stop for all things creative. Oh God. Hi guys, girls, non-binds, welcome back to my channel. I am Leah Solmaz. First off, I am an actress, writer, filmmaker, all-round creative. I've tried my hand at many a field over the years with relative success, I guess. So yeah, the fact that I've done things over the years, I find that successful. Yeah, these are some of my tips on how you can get to actually writing a story. Let's go. Step number one. Pick your medium. Now, what do I mean by that? Do you want to write book form or do you want to write script form? This is very important as there are different formatting for writing books opposed to writing like a film script or a comic book script. So yeah, hopefully you have some kind of an idea of a story in your head ready to kind of write and one that you want to kind of go ahead with. Step number two is summarize the plot. How do you do that? Well, in script writing and even in book form, I think, you kind of work from what they call a logline. Now, a logline is a one-sentence summary of the overall plot of the story. So you see that a lot on like Netflix, IMDb, where they have like a tiny summary of what the film is going to be about. So within a logline, it should kind of entail who the main character is, what the conflict is, and kind of give an idea of what genre the story is in. So side note, genres are basically the types of stories out there. So your more popular genres are like horror, action, thriller. So it's really important to kind of know what genre your story falls in. So yeah, using the logline, you should be able to summarize the plot quite succinctly and simply. Step number three, work on your characters. Now, it's really great to have an idea of your characters down to kind of what they eat for breakfast and everything else. This is the fun part of like story concepting, I think, is creating the characters, these relatable vehicles for this story to kind of be driven through. It's quite poetic, that, wasn't it? Yeah, work on your characters. Now, in most, if not all stories, you will have your main protagonist, which is your hero of the story. Regardless of like genre, this kind of falls into even drama, romance. You have that main character that the audience vicariously lives the story through. Yeah, work out who your hero is. Depending on genre, which genre you've picked, there's usually a protagonist, so the hero, or an antagonist, the villain. But in drama, that doesn't really happen. Your protagonist, say in a drama setting, wouldn't necessarily have like an antagonist, a villain, to kind of oppose their wants and desires. It would kind of be outside forces that kind of impact your character. So yeah, once you have your main character down, the person you want the story to kind of travel on the shoulders of, it's usually the driving force of the story to figure out what the main character's wants are. This is in script writing, this is in basic book writing as well. Unless your character has no desires, basically there is no story. So it's important to figure out what that character's motives are. That's another word for it, motives. So once you've got your characters and you have an idea of what your story is going to be about, it's important to know basic story structure. Now, all stories out there have a beginning, middle, and end. There are kind of spec story structures for different genres out there, but for the better part of most stories, regardless of genre, the basic story structure falls into obviously beginning, middle, and end. So how do we break that down? The beginning is also known as the introduction. So you're introducing the characters, the setting. So when I say setting, that means place, time period as well, whether or not it's kind of futuristic or in the past or present. So once you've introduced the character, the setting and things, There's what's known as the inciting incident. This is kind of what kickstarts the story. And it's through the inciting incident that throws the character into their journey, regardless of genre again. So in my own book, Nexus, the inciting incident is kind of set in the first chapter. It's really important to do that book form, and in the first 10 minutes writing a script, you want your inciting incident kind of jump in there. You don't want to wait too long for it to happen. So the story is more or less started. So what's next? It's the conflict. That's where you kind of set up the villain, or kind of the opposing factors, outside factors, forces that are opposing your main character from reaching that goal. The conflict carries on for the bettermost part of any story. Yeah. Once the conflict is over, it comes to what is known in all story forms a climax, which is kind of where the character meets the opposing force, and it's whether or not that character will kind of overcome those obstacles, forces, villain. And then after the climax has happened, that's where the resolution comes in, and that's also known as like the ending. So how is it all resolved? Does the character get what they want, or don't they? That's it. Once you've got your story down, kind of mapped out in your head, once you've got the log line, what you can do is, in script writing, they call it a treatment. It's kind of like a long summary. So basically your plan of what is going to happen in the first act, second act, third act. Yeah, write a treatment or summary. This will help you map out your story exactly. Yeah, it helps me now to kind of outline the story, especially when I'm animating or say writing a film and things. You definitely need to kind of outline your points and things, and it just helps to create a better written story. The last step, I guess, is kind of leave all dialogue until last. So plan out your story, plan out what characters are going to say to each other, but don't focus too much on dialogue. You know, being an actor in film for many years, I have come across so many poorly written scripts, and I can say this wholeheartedly, having worked with good scripts opposed to like bad scripts as well. And what it all boils down to when it's a bad script for myself, it's kind of down to the dialogue. And I think you see that in a lot of films out there. If it's a really kind of B-graded movie, it's kind of down to the dialogue and kind of how the story is written. Blew a bubble. Yeah, dialogue, it's a very kind of precarious thing, and I think it takes a lot of kind of mastering. That's why it's best to leave that till very last. And when writing dialogue as well, it's really important to kind of speak out the words and see if you can actually speak them, because if you can't speak them, yeah, it just makes for awful dialogue. And with dialogue as well, like no one kind of walks around spilling out Shakespearean monologues, not now anyway, unless you're writing that kind of genre film. Yeah, it's really important to leave dialogue till last and just, you know, be realistic with dialogue. That's kind of what makes the characters relatable. So those are my tips into writing stories, I guess, for beginners. And if you want me to kind of go into a bit more of an in-depth thing, I'll probably break it down anyway, regardless of if anyone asks me, because I'm like that, you know, I just make content regardless of if anyone asks. So yeah, maybe in future videos I'll break down the technicalities of script writing or book form. And I think that's it. If you found that helpful, do subscribe, guys, girls, non-binds. Yeah, or don't. But if you do, hopefully I can bring some more informative videos and some inspiring tips and tricks to get you started on your own creative journey. How was that for corny? Wow. Last but not least, bonus tip, have fun writing stories. Don't write for anyone else, write the stories you want to write. And yeah, that's it, bye. Off to a good start, I like it, I like it. Oh my God, I can't even show it properly. Take two. I know what I'm saying, I know what I'm saying. I don't know what's happening. Break night. I like just grooming myself. I don't know what's happening to the light. I think the light's dying. Oh no. Please don't stop, camera. Please don't. Let's just roll with it. Come on.